Crikey, another discusser vlog already? Yes, while you may think from the title of this video that this is all going to be a bit of a rant about increased pricing, there is going to be a little bit of that, but no, the thoughts running through the core of this video are going to take a little bit of a deeper turn, because I've been thinking. I sort of came to the conclusion last night that I can see exactly what they're doing with the age of extinction line, all the reasons behind the way it is, and it just sort of struck me like this is a sort of side of the story that I've not seen anyone even think of yet, and I just thought I might as well say it on camera and increase a little bit of discussion about the whole topic, because at the moment if you say age of extinction to someone, they'll just go, oh, it's all crap, I don't want none of it. Unless maybe those Dinobots in Toys R Us. I guess you could say what I'm aiming to do with this video is go behind the blind hate for all the simplified stuff a little bit, but at the same time I'm not going to try and advocate any of that stuff. Basically what I've been thinking about is, while there are differences definitely between this stuff and this stuff, it's all for the greater good, maybe? I don't know, hear me out. I've been doing a little bit of observation and comparison and evaluation about a great many factors to do with the age of extinction toy line. Now that it's hit the shelves, now it's been around for, I'm going to say a couple of weeks, but it's not really, it's only just hit the supermarkets in my area, and Smythe's was the only other place that had anything in my area, and I still have yet to go to Toys R Us. You'll hear a story about this soon. So yeah, I don't know. At least there's been time now for everyone to just sort of look at the stuff for themselves, see how it's priced, see what it's really like, make up your own minds a bit, and now of course the whole cloud of conjecture and what ifs has been raised and we know exactly what's happening with the whole line, blah blah blah. I just sort of took all that in and ground up that information into a fine paste, which then made me realise something. It was a bit like, oh, so we're going to elaborate on that now. Yes, there are of course a great many differences between the nice generations age of extinction stuff and the CAC here, but of course the one thing that no one's really seemed to pick up on is the fact that if you go back, turn the clock back to the last time that this circus was in town and we had the Dark of the Moon line, yes, it was all sort of, you know, this level of stuff was the general core of the line. It was the meat and potatoes, the bread and butter of it all, and this is what, you know, was on shelves everywhere, and it's the sort of kind of thing that everyone got and everyone was happy with that. But don't forget, there was gimmicky stuff around as well. That just didn't provide the sort of heart of the line. It was just peripheral stuff, and it was here and there, and no one really bought any of it, and no one cared about any of it, and to be honest, you hardly saw any of it wherever you went. But it was still there. So roll on age of extinction, and it's been a bit of a switcheroo in that department, because all the simplified stuff is now the stuff that is, well, saturating the market. I mean, yes, it's only really over here. In America, it's not the case. You can still get the Generations figures in the supermarket. But this is the stuff that Hasbro are pushing. This is the stuff they're marketing. This is the stuff they're making kids aware of more than the regular, more complex stuff. I mean, let's face it, this kind of stuff they don't need to market, because they know that we're all expecting them to make stuff like this, and they know that we will buy it no matter what, you know. Yes, it's sort of collector aimed, and simply because of that fact they realise that, well, the collectors keep their finger on the pulse, we don't need to market the stuff to them, they just see it and buy it and all is good. Yeah, there'll still be some kids that buy this stuff, and, you know, good for them. If some kids can get their hands on the actual good stuff, that's great. But Hasbro don't need to push it in anyone's face, because this is what's expected of a Transformers line. This isn't. This is breaking the mould a bit, and this is what they're taking a hearty gamble with, and to be honest, I've come to the conclusion that it will pay off. Number one, this stuff is the main line. It's no longer peripheral stuff, it's no longer secondary. Well, yeah, they are basically taking what would have been secondary and tertiary lines, because the Construct bots as well are more mainstream, you might say, and turning them into the primary line of figures, you know? This is all the kind of stuff that no one would have given a crap about when Dark of the Moon was around, because you could so easily get your hands on the decent stuff. Now, at least in this country, it's the other way round, and the decent stuff is, quite frankly, a bonus. All of this is where the cash will come from. All of this is what is going to earn Hasbro that sweet movie cash money. And to be honest, this is what's going to ensure the future of Transformers. Maybe not for another 30 years, but definitely down the line towards that date. Because, big point to make, number one, Hasbro are losing money on action figures. They're not selling as well as they used to, because let's face it, kids these days, they don't really care about toys once you're past the age of about 7, maybe. I mean, I know it was probably like that in my day, but it was still more acceptable for you to play with toys up until you're like 10 or 11. But now it's like, as soon as kids get old enough to understand video games and have all that sort of I like computers interaction, it's just, you know, kids like video games now, they don't like toys. Or they like toy lines that are something to do with a video game, if all the sort of market numbers for Skylanders can be believed. So yeah, real toys are sort of slowly dying a death, if businessy information is to be believed. Yeah, Hasbro are losing money on good old-fashioned imagination tactile toys. So they've got to claw that back somehow. They've got to ensure the future of this brand, because of course other brands are dying. Cough cough G.I. Joe. So if we want Transformers to continue, then we've sort of got to allow this kind of thing to continue, at least on a periodical basis, because this is the sort of move that needs to be made to inject the brand with some money here and there, because it's going to need it years hence. Yes, here's basically the crux of the point I'm trying to make. All of this kind of stuff, the good Transformers, let's put it that way, that made up the whole heart of the previous movie line, and that was all great and fine and good, and you know, that was basically, I know it wasn't all that there was, but really it is all there was. You know, it's all that was worth taking notice of. Now we're getting the same level of stuff again, roughly the same amount of it, but it's a bonus. It's become the secondary line, the stuff that is a sort of safe bet that Hasbro don't need to bother marketing that hard, can just sit there and make the money from people like us who will just buy it because this is the stuff they really want. And you've got to remember, while I said that's a bonus, it's still, yeah, roughly the same amount that the main Dark of the Moon line would have given us. So, by default, all of this stuff becomes extra profit. But then, this stuff becomes even more extra profit because of increased prices. And then, it becomes even more profit because these are obviously a lot cheaper to make. The whole simplified nature of this stuff has now exposed itself to me for what it truly is. The veil of illusion has been lifted from my perceptions, and I see this as total profit maximisation. That's what these are. They're cheap to make, they're simple to manufacture, they cost a hell of a lot less to put out and develop than one of these. So, while the prices are up, while they can claw every penny out of you and me and every other person who wants to movie Transformers, they're gonna be pretty happy because it's all very, very, very much hiking up those profit margins, and to be honest, it's a good thing, really. Now I can sort of see these for what they really are, and know them to be the true things that are going to bring in some cash for Hasbro in the next year. Then I can sort of let them have their day a bit more. I can sort of let them slide, and yeah, it's okay that they're a bit cack, if it means that the money from these is going to give us more good stuff like this. So yeah, that's basically the conclusion I came to. All of this, all the factors to do with all these simplified figures, the increase in price, which they can get away with because, you know, movie hype, people are going to buy Transformers no matter what price they are, because the movie injects so much excitement into the brand and so much more life into it. So many more people are going to notice it, so many more kids are going to want these figures, that yeah, while it is a bit extortionate that this costs 10 quid or this costs 15 or everything else that seems to have been rounded up to the nearest multiple of 5, to be honest, it's okay. You know, they can get away with it They know that they can get away with it, and they can pinch some more pennies that way. And of course also with the fact that costs for these are down, because of course they are going to have to minimise costs, because as I said, they are losing money on action figures. It's all just a smart move. You know, it's not a gamble. They're not going to lose money on this line, simply because of the fact that the stuff that wouldn't have made that much money if it was in Dark of the Moon, the stuff that no one really would have wanted, is now the stuff that they're pushing as the vogue product. This is the stuff that they want kids to buy, and they've realised that all this kind of stuff is just the safety net. You know, it's there, people are still going to buy it. They don't need to bother about marketing this stuff when they can have however many different lines of all the weird gimmicky stuff, and that can be what gets them their cash money. So maybe when you're in the shop looking at this stuff and thinking, oh, it's so horribly terrible, give it a bit of a second thought. And of course, yeah, it's not going to be anything any of us are really that interested in, but you know, at least let it slide. Don't give in to that blind hate, because this is what is going to keep Transformers going for the foreseeable future. And while, you know, it's not really a good thing to say, it's the gospel truth from where I'm sitting. Yeah, I don't want to start preaching things. I don't want to be saying that this video is exactly the objective, real truth behind Hasbro's motives that is plain for all to see, because let's face it, Hasbro aren't going to admit to this, because it's a little bit of an underhand business technique, wouldn't you say? Asking more for things that cost less so that they can make more money off of poor suckers who want to buy movie Transformers. Yes, I mean, I might have completely grabbed the wrong end of the stick here. I'm not saying you should believe anything that I'm saying at all. I'm just offering a bit of a different viewpoint, because all I can see whenever anyone talks about any of these toys, it's just, oh, they're rubbish. Oh yeah, but they're catering for kids, they're going to get kids in on the brand, and it's all a bit easier than silly Revenge of the Fallen Leader Prime. Yeah, all those points can be made. I'm just sort of sticking another one in there and saying, but wait a minute, look at the economic side of it. Look at the side of it that tells you that these are where all the little tiny scraps and pennies that Hasbro really need are sitting. And you know, you could sort of take it to the extreme that if you want to support Transformers a bit more, then you've got to buy some of this crap. But no, don't, because plenty of kids are going to, plenty of parents are going to fork out that extortionate money, and hopefully at the end of the day it will just let us enjoy some more stuff like this. Age of Extinction then, a bit like the Age of Extortion, but really you've got to let it off, because they really need that money if you want another year's worth of Generations figures.